going on, guys? Chris with SVT Garage. I got both cars out in the driveway today, and I was doing some work on this car here earlier. What I ended up doing was I fixed the third brake light. I was going to install the radio, but it's just getting so hot. I don't know if you guys can tell or not. I'm trying to not look like a sweaty, hot mess, but it's Florida and it feels like it's 115 degrees. But I took a break from that. I put the antenna on it, and I did the third brake light, and I shot a video on that because I kind of figured it'd be a decent video for people to watch, because they are a pain in the butt to get out. In a sense, it feels like you're gonna break that spoiler. So I shot a video on that, and then I was just doing a couple of things. I wanted to do the radio, but again, it's hot. I might just wait till the sun goes down and do that a little later, because I really want this car to be 100% factory stock, and it's the last thing I got to do that. I literally, where's it at? It's up here somewhere. Took off the antenna that came on the car, which it almost looks color matched, and I put the factory one on there. You can't see it, but when we walk around, you guys will be able to tell. But other than the radio, that car is pretty much, you know, it's really stock at that point. So I wanted to do a comparison of what one car would look like, or could potentially be, if you just keep messing with it for years and years and years and years, or whatever. Depends on your funds. You could do that, and you could build this car in 2 months if you had, you know, unlimited money to throw at it. I don't. I work full time. I got 2 kids, and you know, life and everything else happens. So this has been a project of mine for, I think, 11 years now. It's gone through a couple changes. It was obviously factory supercharged. It's been turbocharged, and now it's back to supercharged with the Whipple. So it's gone through its stages of owning it. And then you got this thing here, which is what Ford rolled them off the assembly line as and put them on the dealership floors. That's what you were getting. So I just wanted to do a video showing you guys these 2 cars, and what I guess, you know, what you can turn one into, and what you can just drive and enjoy, because that thing is nowhere near as powerful as that one, but that thing is fun to drive. I've never driven a stock one. I've always had at least a tune and a pulley on every single one I've owned, and that I've owned to keep 4 of them. They've at least had exhaust, pulleys on them, tuned, whatever. They've never been stock like this thing. I mean, this thing has the factory pulley on it, so it makes, I think it makes like 6 or 8 pounds of boost. So it's fun to drive, and we'll get into that as well. But I want to walk around this one and show you guys kind of what Ford was doing with this. So this one here is they're both 2003s. This one is build number 149 of the 19,000 made. This one is, I think, like 2,380 something. So still lower, but this one is like the first handful put out. Then it's the mineral gray, which for the coupes, this one that you can get 302 in this combination. They made more of the red fires by a lot, but again, this is one of those colors that's on the rarer side for the car. And I believe it was only for 1 year. I think that was only a 2003 option. Guys, just going through the car, walking around it. The wheels are factory. The brakes are factory, if you guys can get in there and see. You got the factory 2-piston Cobra brakes on that thing. Still got the factory vents in the hood, which a lot of people switch out, which is actually not bad to do. It does allow a lot of the heat to escape on these things. It's got the pony in the grill. The headlights, this is going to be a project. I do want to try to save these. So the headlights will be taken apart. The more I look at it, I think it's on the inside. So I am going to take these apart and do my best to reseal them. And I would like to salvage these. So that's an upcoming video. Let's see what else we got here. The interior is absolutely mint. The shifter is, it feels like it's 2 miles tall. The e-brake is, it's stiff. It's night and day different than the red car. The steering wheel is just clean and it's barely looks like it's been touched. The back seats in this car just look like they've never been sat in. There's no rips or tears. The floor mats, which I didn't even know really. I thought they had a logo on there of some sort, but these ones are just the bare floor mats. And I know the anniversary ones came with it, but I thought these did. So again, I learned something from buying this car. The exhaust on this thing is stock as well. It's so quiet. It doesn't, I mean, it doesn't even sound like, it's so nice. I can't even explain it. It sounds like it's off when you're sitting in the car, because I'm used to this thing, which is just, I don't know, it's not crazy loud, but it's loud. Let's see. The third brake light was fit, like I said, I replaced it today. This corner was broken, so that's been replaced. And then we'll again get back inside, because again, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but just the radio. This is the only thing really in there that's not factory, so I was going to take that out. The antenna, I mean, I feel like you can talk to somebody on the moon, how tall this thing is. So that was in the trunk, so I put that back on there. The 17s, I honestly, I don't know what it is about the wheels on this car, or if it's the color, it just flows better. But I've never really liked them until, I don't know, I guess kind of getting my hands on this thing. I think it just opens my eyes up a little bit, and then getting older, you know, just seeing how awesome these cars were just left alone. So the two owners that had this, I just got to give them so much props for not touching it. It really is kind of mind-boggling that they just left it. They just drove it and didn't do nothing with it. So, you know, oh guys, real quick too, the 03s, one of the ways of telling is that this the key lock here is, it's got the black ring. The 04s were chrome. That's really one of the differences on the exterior of the car. And then on the inside, you'll see that this has the net. That was an 03 option, having the netting up here. And then 04s, they went away with it. So those are the two differences on that. And you'll see over here, again, this one is an 03 as well. And again, it's got the black ring around the keyhole. And then same thing, it's got the netting up top. But motor wise, it's crazy. It's got the cover on the supercharger. It's got the factory air cleaner, which, I mean, most people just rip that thing off and put a filter on that thing, you know, leave it exposed. It's still got all the wiring and everything up there, which most people delete right away. It's just such a cool car that back in 2003 they were throwing these out on the lot, and you know, they were porting the superchargers, pulling up pulling down, I'm sorry, the supercharger, then pulling up the lower and pushing, I think you could get like 18 pounds out of these things. And now with the E85, you know, you got guys touching the sixes, getting very close, if not getting into the sixes from just a factory supercharger. So that's pretty outstanding number wise for these things. And then it's just crazy. This guy, they just left this thing alone. You know, and then Ford they threw this thing out to really just kind of ruffle the feathers of everybody. And it did. It is such a cool car. I still can't believe I got my hands on the thing. And it came about the way it did. So I don't know, sometimes I just like walk in the garage and stare at the thing for a couple minutes because it just blows my mind. So guys, that is quickly, in a nutshell, a bone stock 2003 Cobra. Potential on these are, it's crazy, and we'll show you with this one. Color wise, you have so many options. You had this mineral gray, you had white, you had the yellows, you had the dark shadow gray, you had the red fire, you had the torch red, and you had the mystics. I think I got, it's in the Sonic blues. But they really just kind of came out with a great car that to this day, these things are still, just making an impact on the car scene. So starting with the front of this thing, it's hard to see right now, but it's got the I went with the Lightning Force heat exchanger on this. I had one on one of my other cars and I never had an issue with it. So I always kind of stick with brands that have worked for me, or just again never had issues with. So I upgraded that one on this when I went back from the turbo, got rid of the intercooler. Kind of just again stay with my roots and what I knew, so I went with that. Then this car's lowered. I think one of the most common questions on this is, what stance wise, what do you have done? So the front is on a UPR K member, and with that K member it comes with those, not a true coilover, but it's what they call a coilover. It just goes over the Bilsteins, and the front is on a coilover setup. The rears are not coiled. They are on a H&R spring. It's the race, it's the red ones, and the ISOs are deleted from that, so there's no ISOs back there, which just lowers it a little bit more. And then guys, that's how this car has that stance. It is a little low in the front, it's hard to see, I'd have to get the camera under there, but the long tubes sit even lower because I had to drop the motor. There's a little spacer on there, so I could run this hood, the factory hood, without cutting, without notching the hood for the supercharger to fit. So again, with the car low like that, I do, sometimes here and there scrape, but I am super careful with it when I'm driving it. So for now I left it alone. The wheels are another big question I get. Hey, what are they? I wanted to do something totally out of the box, just out of the norm with this. I had decided that I was gonna spend some money on the wheels, and I was gonna pull the trigger on some CCWs. I think they're an awesome wheel. They look amazing on these things. It's just I saw a lot of them out there, so doing some research, I found a smaller wheel company in California. The guy was very eager to make me a set of wheels. Going back and forth with him for about, I'd say 2 months. I said, man, I'll take the chance, let's do it. Because these were CCW money, wise. They were over $4,000 for the wheels, but they're kind of one off on this car. So I went with that company, and to me, they knocked it out of the park. should say he knocked it out of the park. And he was able to get them done, spec'd them out. He let me pick everything, the color of the bowls, how I wanted the lips, stepped or flush. So I went with the step lip on these, polished, and then I went with the brushed centers. The only thing now that I wish I did differently is I wish I'd brushed the inside of the bowls, because now I have to take the wheels off, you know, once or twice a year and just polish them out, because they do get kind of grungy back there. And that's the only thing I wish I did. Just would kind of help protect that a little bit, or just did them black. And then continuing around the car, you guys can see you have these cars came with the red taillights, and I went with the 99 to 01 Cobra taillights. These have blown up a lot over the last 3 or 4 years. When I got my hands on these, I think they were going for like $500-600, which I was like, I can't spend that on taillights. It's crazy. Now they're double that. But what I ended up doing was I bought a 99 Cobra, got it for a really good deal. I switched the taillights out, sold the car, and got basically the taillights for free, and then made a small profit on that car. So for me, it just worked out. Other than that, I probably would have just left them the factory red all the way through. But again, for me, it worked out. You guys notice here too, I went back to the factory spoiler. I had that carbon one on there for a little bit, and I don't know, I thought the carbon was nice. It looked good on the red, but I kind of felt like the color match, just the flow went better with the car. So I ended up selling it. There's a guy in, I think, North Carolina got it. But carbon wise, I really didn't want to put much of it on the exterior of the car. So I think that's going to be my game plan. I am just going to stick with putting it on the interior like I have. And I'll show you guys some of that as well. Exhaust wise, let's see if we can get a good shot of this. I'll try to move back a little bit, but I went with the 3-inch Bassani's polished. I'm sorry, I polished them, but they just look really good on the car. They sound great. I think Bassani makes a really good product, and it just kind of really puts the car together. And you guys can see that, just how much it fills in the back a little bit more compared to the stock stuff. This is 3-inch on the red car, and I'm not 100% sure what the factory is, but it's just night and day difference, and it just sounds so good. I will do a startup video of the two cars, and this thing is just surprisingly quiet. I've never really driven or been in one with factory exhaust, so it was kind of interesting to hear that part. Interior wise, again guys, since I've had this car, I've always had these Ford Racing floor mats, so I didn't really know that these cars came with the blank. For some reason I thought they had a logo on there, but anyways. And then in here, you guys can see as well, I went with the anniversary wheel. I like the gauges. I didn't want the gauge all down the on the up on the A-arm up here, so I went with just everything behind the steering wheel, just to keep it, for me, cleaner. And the steering wheel itself, I was gonna go ahead and buy like a nice carbon one or a flat bottom one, but a couple, I'd say 6 years ago, I found this one here, which is super clean. I found it on eBay. I think it was like $500, and I snagged it, and I think it it's a better looking wheel than the one that's these come with, so I'm glad I went that route. Shifter wise, again, you can see it's so much just tighter and smaller than the factory one. That's the MGW, which, guys, if you guys are going to switch anything on these cars, that's one of the first things to do, because that thing is so nice and shifts really good. And it tightens everything up. But again, carbon here, did some carbon down there, and then I went with the carbon up on the armrest, because I do like that these interior of these cars are dark. I think that's just the whole color combination on how they did it here is pretty nice. But the seats, I did want to redo these. There's really nothing wrong with them. I mean, I got the little bit here, but I could repair that with some like leather repair. But I'm kind of debating on sending them somewhere to get do like a custom insert. I'm not sure yet, but I'm either gonna do that or change them over to the black, the dark charcoal all the way through. So I'm still kind of up in the air with what I want to do with that. But majority of the cars came with this color seat setup. That one did as well, but I think in 04 they had the option of the dark suede, and I think the 03s had the parchment as well as 04. So if anybody knows, you can comment below, and I'm not 100% sure on that. I've only seen a handful of parchment cars, but interior wise, guys, this thing is pretty much stock, other than some gauges, and the wheel's technically stock. That's just off of the anniversary car. And then the same wheel is on the Mystic. It's just that instead of having you can't really see on here, but this was more of like a carbon look on these cars, where the Mystic, this and down here is that Mystic color. So, you know, it kind of matches the interior of the seats. So realistically, again, stock steering wheel. I do like it, and it does feel good too. I like how tight it is. It's a lot tighter. But kind of moving on here. So this is where you would notice a bigger difference between that car and this car. Again, 11 years of owning this thing and going back and forth on stuff. It's kind of ended up here. You guys all know the car was recently at Kurgan. I was having some issues with the car idling, and what it ended up being was the MAF. I had the SCT one in here, and kind of the way they explained it to me was when the air was coming in through here, it's very turbulent, and it wasn't picking it up and reading it correctly, and was throwing off the idle in the car really bad. So that's a stock 3-valve / GT500. So that's what a lot of guys are running. That's what they went with, and it cleaned it up. What ended up happening was I was trying to track down the issue myself. I had a buddy helping me, and the buddy helped me just kind of, didn't work out. So I ended up getting the car back to the house, and again, like you guys can see in that video, I was just kind of under the, not under the weather about it, but I was just upset that the car was performing the way it was, because I've always loved driving this thing. And I'm glad that, thanks to them up there at Kurgan, that this thing is back to, it's kind of where it should be. This is the 3.4 Whipple. It is much larger than, obviously, the stock one. And the potential of these things is 30, 32, 33 pounds a boost. This one is currently at 19. It does have the factory lower, and then it's a 3.5 upper. So I'm at 19 pounds, which is really not pushing this thing at all. But power-wise, with the fuel system, the long tubes, the exhaust, E85, and the cams, the car did put down 819. And that is through other than the cams, factory rotating motor. These things were built pretty solidly through Ford, and they perform very well, even 20 years later. So again, what I was trying to get at was that car right there rolling off the lot, you can just slap on a bunch of bolt-ons and make crazy power. I mean, I remember back in 2003, I was fresh out of high school, and if you had something that was 400 horse, you were, you know, people were talking about your car. Now, anything under like 900 is really nothing. So, because the way that, you know, everything's evolving. But again, Ford back in 03, it's really hard to find a car in that era to do what, you know, what they're doing still to this day. And you know, they put a lot of effort in these cars, a lot of time, a lot of research, and they really overbuilt the thing. And then another fact that I found out was the guy that designed the Ford GT was designing this simultaneously, side by side of one another. So, I mean, that guy who threw all this together, man, the body wise, you know, it's one thing I've loved about these cars is just how good they look. That's the factory hood. Obviously, I added the vents into it. That's, you know, for my own personal reasons. But the front bumper, the hood, the skirts, the rear bumper, the spoiler, and the folding mirrors. I mean, it's just, I don't know, they really nailed it on these cars. Guys, you know, again, the point of this video was showing you what one of these things looked like, just bone stock. You drive to the local dealership and drive away with one of these, and how cool they were, to what you could just do with them, you know, if you throw a little bit of money at them. Guys, another cool little upgrade, again, because I was talking about the brakes earlier, you know, the factory Cobra brakes here, is you could, this is such a cheap upgrade and they look awesome, are the Brembos off the Cadillacs. So super cheap, easy to do, and it's more of just like a bolt-on part. It really, they make a kit now for them where you just bolt them on the cars. Where when I got these ones done, I took them to a machine shop and I had him machine off, it was like 17 thousandths, I think it was, off the back of it, and where you mount them to get them to fit. And I can't remember where I got that number from. It was on one of the forums, but they worked. They were so cheap that when I bought them, they were brand new. I think I got them off of I can't remember what website that was. They were like $180 for two. So even if they messed them up machining them, I would just buy another set and say, hey, let's just go a little less or a little more. But really good upgrade on these cars. And doing a little research too, I may do this car stops perfectly fine without any issues. I might do the Taurus rear, because it's supposed to be a thicker, I think it's a thicker piston, which then creates the difference that you're missing from the front brake on this by switching to that, which puts the car back. I think it's supposed to be 70-30. I think it's 70 in the front, 30 in the rear. But when you put the Cadillac brakes on, it changes a little bit. But if you want it back to that factory setting, you got to change the rear ones to, I think, the Taurus. So again, that's a direct bolt-on piece as well. So that I might be doing and just kind of seeing how that works. But guys, I'm going to pause the video here and get these things started up. I honestly, this one here, man, is, I feel like it's driving your grandfather's Buick LeSabre on how quiet it is. It's pretty interesting. But all right, we'll get to that, so just stand by. All right, so that was that car. Again, that's cammed. It's got long tubes, and then it's 3-inch Bassani all the way back, the X pipe, and then the 3-inch Bassanis. This car's running already, and we'll give it a little bit on this one. Now I can actually, talk and hear myself think around this thing. But again, this is so cool that these cars can go from that with just a little bit of bolt-ons to, or from that to this. Again, guys, that is these two cars. Again, same car, same year, just one's stock and one's not. But, I guess the next question is, if you have the car, you leaving this thing alone? I know the absolute truth is, yes, I'm leaving this alone simply because I have this one. The car guy inside of me that wants to touch everything and not leave it alone, if I didn't, I'd have a really hard time just letting this thing be what it is. So with that being said, guys, I guess that's the next kind of question here on this video is, what are you gonna do? Would you leave this thing bone stock? Because it is fun to drive. It does sound good, especially inside the car. You get that whine, and it does look good. I think it looks, even with the the height. It is. There is some wheel gap there, but realistically, the front's not terrible. The back kind of sucks, to be honest with you. It is super tall. They could have leveled that out a little bit, but it is what it is. This is, for whatever reason, that's what they came up with. And, that obviously does look better. I think it just changes the whole dynamic of the car. But again, you guys gonna leave this thing alone? Or would you just go crazy over time and everything else and start putting a bunch of money into it? I am thankful that I have the ability to, have the best of both worlds. And, I am just still in just disbelief that the car's here. So again, I don't know, I can't, I still just blows my mind that I was able to get my hands on this thing. But anyways, guys, Chris, SVT Garage. Again, comments, likes, and subscribes, I really appreciate it. At the time of shooting this video, I think I'm at 998 subscribers, so pretty much made that 1,000 mark this year, which to me is it's a really big deal. It just gets the channel a lot closer to open up other doors for myself. And again, guys, this, for me, just saying thank you. I couldn't do it without you guys. I appreciate, the side. I wasn't expecting anywhere near what is going on with SVT Garage. So it's all thanks to you guys. I just come out here with my camera, shoot some videos of these cars, my friends' cars, guys I just hang out with as much as I can. I am an adult and I got, priorities and bills to pay. But, you know, these guys just are my friends and we go do car stuff together. We've always done that. And I said, hey, let me just put on, let me record it. And again, it's kind of evolving into this. So again, guys, from the bottom of my heart, I do appreciate it. I do really, 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 really appreciate it. I am so thankful for it. So guys, keep it up. You guys are making a lot possible for me. But guys, SVT Garage, let me know what you guys would like to see next. If you got any ideas, you know, I'm always open to, you know, try to look for some new stuff. We are going to do a driving video comparison of something stock and something not. So we'll stay tuned for that. I am going on a trip to West Virginia Thursday with some of the guys. If I can, I will shoot some of that and introduce them, you know, to everybody. But when I come back, especially now that it's getting into end of August, September, hopefully cool down a little bit out here. It'll be a fun video just to get these things out and drive. So guys, again, thanks, SVT Garage, and we'll catch you again.